Welcome to the channel, guys. So if you saw the video I previously posted talking about what I'm going to do with Hidalgo, you kind of got the basic idea of what we're planning. Basically, we want to take something like you'd find on Marketplace or Craigslist, something like that, and kind of build an entry-level drag car that you could take to your Saturday night cruise-ins or Sonic meets, stuff like that. Not necessarily something you spend a small fortune on and try to win all the big events and everything like that. You ain't gonna be on Street Outlaws, but it's something to get you started if you're looking for a good way to get drag racing. So I'm kind of going to give everybody the rundown and we'll go from there. Previous video, I talked about swapping to 373 gears out of my 410s. Well, I've got the rear end there, I've got the car here, but we did the math on it. There is not enough difference between 373s and 410s to justify all the work necessary to change it. So in this video, I'm going to go ahead, I'll show you what the car's got going on, and I'm going to swap this over to 456s because once we're done at midnight drags with the car as it sits, we're going to swap that rear end in. We'll end up using Lakewood traction action bars, a set of Lakewood 9010 shocks, stuff like that. Hopefully along the line we'll pick up a couple seconds. I'd like to get into the low 14s, maybe high 13s. This is an NPI 2 valve, so it made 205 horsepower stock. Full interior street car. These are seats out of a 2013 Mustang GT for those of you that are wondering. And as you can see right there, 181,000 miles. The only thing that's actually been done to this car is the cowl hood. Pop the hood for you here. And the cold air intake, and I don't believe the strut brace is factory, but I did not put that on there. Last year, I believe, I did actually have to change the intake manifold, but that's just a Dorman 96 to 98 Mustang GT intake. Absolutely nothing special about that. The front suspension is well, you can't see it, but it is completely stock. The rear suspension has BMR upper and lower control arms, but I very highly do not recommend them. About a year and a half ago, I actually beat the bushings out of them, and I had to find polyurethane replacements for them. Not a very good control arm. They don't actually do anything for the car as far as like performance gains. They look cool, that's about it. But if your stock lowers and uppers are trashed and you need control arms in a hurry, they're all right for that, but otherwise don't get them. The car has Nitto NT 555Rs, the old styles, a set of Jags wheels. These are 17 by 6s and the backs are 15 by 10s with a 275 55R 15 tire, not the 65 R15 like you're used to seeing. Underneath has the BMR control arms, the exhaust, actually a really nice trick close stud girdle, or a main cat carrier girdle, whatever you want to call it. It's got a girdle. You can see the two screws there. It's got an exhaust. This car has been on the dyno, makes 184 wheel horsepower, so nothing to write home about. And this car is essentially my daily driver, is why it's so filthy. It's a 5-speed car. Literally the only option this car has is cruise control. It has AC, radio, all that, but this is a 97. It's a 248A car, which is a V6 car. They pulled straight off the assembly line and stuck a V8 drivetrain in it. The front brakes on this car are even V6 brakes that I found out recently. So that's just kind of a rundown on the car. I'm going to take it to midnight drags. I know what it runs as it sits. It's run a 14.8, 14.9, somewhere in there. It's nothing to write home about. But I'm going to do it again to give everybody a baseline. Because ideally I would like to get high 13s out of this car by the time it's all said and done. Moving on to the rear end that I'm swapping in. I picked up a set of used 456 gears. I say used, but they're basically brand new. Like, there's nothing wrong with these gears. This is actually a crush sleeve stand-in, as I was explained. What this does, pull it apart here. It's actually got shims in it. Get them out. Oh, there it is. Move to that side. It's actually got a shim in there. What your crush sleeve does is sets the resistance on the pinion. This eliminates that to kind of get rid of everything. That way, if you pull all this back apart to redo a seal or something, you don't have to put a new crush sleeve and all that in it as well. So the goal for today is to get this rear end ready to go in after midnight drags next weekend. So I'm going to yank this apart. I'll kind of walk you through everything, how to change the pinion, ring and pinion, all that. So here we go. What your axle shafts are held in by this. They butt up to the end of this to keep them from sliding in anymore. Because what you do is you pull this pin, slide that axle in. Let me find a 91 here. And you reach in and you can take that C-clip out. Maybe. No, fell that way. Try it on this one. But you see that C-clip right? But there's a little C-clip right here. That's what holds the axles in. That's why C-clip eliminators are so common on these rear ends. On your higher horsepower builds, if you don't put C-clip eliminators in, this little bitty clip is all that's between you and a crash. Because that clip sits over there. If this axle breaks anywhere in here, the shaft, if anywhere along this line it breaks, that comes off, your wheel comes off, and you go to a wall. Alright, got the old ring and pinion out. Taking it from a 373 factory gear to a 456 that I bought used, but it's brand new out of another car. That car to be exact. He went from 456, which is a little too aggressive for what he was wanting to do, to what, a 355?
What's that?
That car. It went to what, a 355? Yeah, down to a 355, kind of tame it down some.
Oh, what's in it now?
Yeah.
It had originally 355. 455s in it. And then we put this other rear end in it, this strange rear end. And then it went to 456s, but it had a spool in it. And it's too low geared, which we knew it was going to be. And I tried to tell the guy that. And then now we're back at a 327 gear.
Oh, I forgot we pulled that rear end of that other Fox body, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's got the good rear end in it.
Yep.
With all the good stuff.
But it was what was in the rear end was a little too aggressive. The other car we had was being built as what, basically a bracket car, wasn't it?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it was pretty much going to be a.
Yeah.
Pretty much going to be a bracket car.
Yeah. So that gear set's brand new. So if you find good deals like that on eBay, don't hesitate to jump on them. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get all this put back together. We'll get it back in that rear end and go from there. Something kind of neat that I was just explained to a day or two ago. You know, this is your standard crush sleeve. This one's used, of course. And what this does when you tighten this nut down, it compresses it to get your resistance against the pinion gear. But you can actually get this little kit here that's got shims and stuff in it. To replace this, and this is reusable, so if you got to pull this back apart to like change a seal or anything, you don't have to change the crush sleeve with it. Alright, got the rear end back together. Next video you see will be at the drag strip next weekend, so subscribe for more, and if you follow us on TikTok, it's 573 race, or Ethanol 573 on TikTok, and JMSRE on TikTok for Jamie. He does cool shit like that El Camino and that Mustang and that truck. Oh. And that's his personal truck.
We need you on the S10.
Yeah, and he's got a pretty wicked little S10 you can see way up there. And then Facebook's 573 Racing, Instagram's 573 Racing, and we'll see y'all next time.